Did you know that, whether we like it or not, as we age, our priorities naturally begin to change? Things that once seemed important, such as maintaining a large social network, gradually fade compared to the values that truly bring happiness and peace. And there is a truth that not everyone realizes right away. After 70, you may no longer need friends as much as you once did. This may sound unusual, and you might even be surprised or disagree initially. Still, when you look deeper, you'll see that embracing independence and focusing more on your mental well-being can be one of your wisest decisions. This is not advice to encourage isolation or loneliness, but rather a new way of living, a life free from relationships that have lost their true value, meaningless expectations, or social obligations that no longer bring joy. In this video, we will explore 6 reasons why friendships may no longer be as important as they once were in the later years of life. You'll realize that your freedom, mental well-being, and even physical health can significantly improve when you let go of the pressure to maintain relationships that no longer contribute to your happiness. Imagine a life where you have complete control over your decisions. No longer worry about forced social gatherings. No longer feel guilty for failing to meet others' expectations. And, most importantly, no longer struggle to maintain relationships that no longer bring you true joy. This doesn't mean you have to distance yourself from others or close yourself off. Rather, it means you have the right to be selective and prioritize what makes you happy. That could be enjoying quiet moments, pursuing personal hobbies, taking care of your health, traveling, or simply embracing peace without the burden of maintaining relationships that no longer align with your life. Watch this video until the end, as it may give you a new perspective on how to fully and meaningfully enjoy your later years. Sometimes, letting go is not a loss. It is the key to rediscovering yourself and living the remaining years exactly how you want. Now let's get started. Reason number 1. Finding inner peace becomes more important than maintaining social interactions. As you enter your later years, you'll realize that peace of mind is far more valuable than frequent social gatherings. In your younger years, you may have eagerly immersed yourself in crowds, enjoying the lively energy of conversations. But you begin to cherish silence more than anything else at some point. It's not just external quiet, an inner serenity, a state of mind that allows you to feel light and unburdened, free from relationships you no longer genuinely wish to maintain. Friendships, no matter how wonderful, often come with invisible obligations. There are phone calls you feel obligated to return, invitations you reluctantly accept just to be polite, and expectations to stay in touch to avoid being seen as distant. In youth, these things may seem normal, even necessary. But as the years pass, you start to realize that not every relationship is worth the time and effort. Conversations that once brought joy may begin to feel like a burden, and gatherings that once excited you may turn into nothing more than routine social formalities. You don't have to be constantly available just because others expect it from you. One of the greatest gifts of aging is the freedom to choose how you want to live. You no longer have to force yourself into social gatherings that don't interest you, maintain contact out of obligation, or explain to anyone why you prefer silence over conversations that no longer bring genuine joy. Life after 70 is no longer about maintaining a large social circle, but finding contentment in the simple moments. It could be a quiet morning with a cup of tea, losing yourself in the pages of a great book, or simply enjoying the serenity of your garden without unexpected calls or messages interrupting your peace. You no longer have to push yourself to please others. This is the time in life when you have the right to decide how to spend your time as you see fit. If a relationship brings you joy and comfort, cherish it. But if it has become an obligation, dare to let it go. Peace is not loneliness, but a reward for those who have learned to value themselves. Reason number 2. Your time becomes more precious. When you're young, time may feel endless. The years of youth are filled with long conversations, countless social gatherings, and spontaneous plans made without much thought. You spend time maintaining relationships, caring about who stays in your life and who drifts away, and sometimes even worrying about preserving friendships that once seemed irreplaceable. Back then, spending hours talking with friends or engaging in social activities felt like an essential part of life because you believed you had plenty of time ahead. But as you reach 70, your perspective shifts entirely. You realize that time is no longer as abundant as it once was, and every passing moment becomes more valuable. Your days are no longer measured by hurried appointments or lengthy conversations, but by moments that truly hold meaning. When you understand the true value of time, you become more intentional about how you spend it, no longer wasting it on things that no longer bring you joy or peace. Friendship, no matter how valuable, requires a significant investment. Maintaining a relationship isn't just about casual conversations. It involves phone calls that need to be made, visits that must be arranged, invitations that require consideration, and commitments that have to be upheld over time. It's no small responsibility. At times, it can feel more like an obligation than a source of true joy. So, the question is it worth it? As you grow older, you start to wonder whether you want to spend your remaining years keeping up with relationships out of duty, or if you'd rather embrace your time on your terms. Perhaps instead of holding on to friendships that have faded over the years, you'd rather use that time to take care of yourself, rekindle forgotten passions, or simply enjoy peaceful moments free from any social pressures. Ultimately, what truly matters isn't how many people you have around you, but whether you are genuinely happy with how you're living. And sometimes, learning to appreciate time means letting go of what is no longer necessary. Reason number 3. True friendship comes from within. One of the most common beliefs about aging is that you need a large circle of friends to be happy. Many assume that the more people you have around, the more meaningful life becomes. But the truth is, as you enter the later years of your life, your most important friend is none other than yourself. At 70, you are no longer the person you were decades ago. You've lived through ups and downs, learned from mistakes, grown through experiences, and come to understand yourself better than anyone else. You no longer need external validation, nor do you seek recognition from others, because you are already complete. This is a powerful realization that not everyone reaches easily. Throughout life, we are taught that happiness depends on our connections with others. From childhood, we are told that having many friends is a sign of a successful life. Society constantly promotes socialization, encouraging us to expand our networks, join groups, and maintain relationships to avoid loneliness. Solitude is often viewed negatively, as a sign of sadness or failure. But there is a truth that not everyone realizes. There is a vast difference between being alone and feeling lonely. Being alone does not mean isolation or a lack of joy. On the contrary, it can be a precious opportunity to explore yourself, reflect on your life, and embrace the peace you truly deserve. Some of the happiest people in their later years are not those with the busiest social calendars, but those who know how to fully enjoy their time alone. They do not feel the need to fill their days with meaningless conversations or superficial social gatherings. Instead, they find joy in simple pleasures, reading a good book, admiring nature, or listening to their thoughts, without the constant noise of the outside world. When you truly learn to be your own best friend, you will realize that no one can bring you greater peace than yourself. The later years of life are not about chasing more relationships, but about valuing yourself, accepting the past, and enjoying the present in the way you choose. Happiness does not come from your number of friends, but from the serenity within your soul, the freedom of no longer being bound by societal expectations. And when you reach that state of mind, you will understand that you were never truly alone. Reason number 4. Letting go leads to a more fulfilling life. One of the most powerful things you can do after 70 is not to hold on to everything, but to learn how to let go. Let go of invisible pressures, social obligations that no longer bring joy, and relationships that exist out of habit rather than true meaning. This is not about giving up. It is an intentional choice to create a lighter, freer, and more fulfilling life. Letting go does not mean cutting off all connections or distracting yourself from the world. It means freeing yourself from expectations that no longer serve your happiness. It means rejecting the idea that your number of friends defines your worth. It means releasing the fear that being alone equates to loneliness. And most importantly, it means accepting that not every relationship is meant to last forever. Many people hold on to friendships simply out of habit, even when those relationships no longer add value to their lives. They attend gatherings they don't look forward to just to be polite. They answer phone calls not because they genuinely want to talk, but because they feel obligated to. They continue to participate in social circles out of routine, even though their heart is no longer in it. But what if you didn't have to do any of that? What if you allowed yourself to decline invitations you don't want to attend? Step away from conversations that drain your energy and keep only the relationships that truly bring you joy and comfort? If you did, you would experience an incredible sense of liberation, a freedom you may have never imagined. Letting go of what no longer serves you doesn't mean losing something. It means creating space for what truly matters. When you are no longer bound by social obligations that feel like responsibilities, you can dedicate more time to yourself, to the things you genuinely love, moments of peace, exploration, and enjoying life on your own terms. Turning 70 is not the time to keep carrying the weight of other people's expectations. It is the time to ask yourself, what truly makes me happy? And if the answer does not include superficial social ties, obligatory gatherings, or conversations that no longer bring joy, then have the courage to let them go. Only when free can you truly embrace and enjoy the years ahead. Reason number 5. You no longer need to prove yourself to anyone. One of the most significant reasons you no longer need a large circle of friends after 70 is that you have outgrown the stage of life where external validation is essential. The pressure to impress, to fit in, or to maintain a certain image no longer holds the same importance as it once did. Think back to your younger years when friendship was not just about companionship, but also about seeking approval. How many relationships did you maintain simply because you feared being left behind? How often did you engage in conversations or attend gatherings you had little interest in to ensure you remained part of a group? Perhaps they were professional connections you felt obligated to maintain, social events you couldn't decline, or moments when you felt the need to prove something to be accepted. But now, as you step into this new phase of life, none of that matters anymore. You no longer have to chase society's standards or maintain a certain image just to please others. You don't need to worry about whether you have enough friends, are invited to events, or still hold a certain status in a social group. The truth is that you no longer need external validation to affirm your worth. You have lived through decades, built your own legacy, and, most importantly, truly come to understand yourself. You know what brings you happiness, what is worth your time, and what is merely an unnecessary expectation. Your happiness is no longer defined by the number of friends you have or by the admiration of others. It comes from the peace within and the satisfaction of living a life that is your own. You no longer need to maintain friendships for social status or reputation at this stage. You are who you are and have experienced enough to distinguish between what is meaningful and what is not. Most importantly, you no longer need anyone to validate your worth, because you now understand that your value does not lie in how others perceive you. It lies in how you live every day. Reason number 6. Fewer friends mean fewer disappointments. One of life's hardest lessons is realizing that not everyone you call a friend is truly there for you. Relationships that once seemed unbreakable can fade over time, and the people you believed would always stand by your side may be the first to disappear when you need them most. This is not an uncommon experience. Almost everyone, at some point, has felt the sting of disappointment when a friendship didn't live up to their expectations. Think back on the years gone by, and you'll likely recall moments of disillusionment. There were friends you once felt deeply connected to, but as life took each of you in different directions, the gap between you grew wider. There were people you always supported, yet they were nowhere to be found when you needed encouragement. And there were relationships where you realized that you were the one making an effort to stay in touch most of the time, while the other person barely seemed to care. By the time you reach 70, you start to understand that having fewer friends doesn't just lighten your social responsibilities. It also spares you from unnecessary disappointments. Because no matter how strong a friendship appears, it often comes with unspoken expectations. You're expected to call and keep in touch regularly. You're expected to be there whenever someone needs support. But what happens when those expectations are not reciprocated? Disappointment. You try to call, but your phone never rings in return. You show concern and ask how they're doing, but only receive brief, indifferent responses. You try to maintain a friendship, but at some point, you realize you're giving far more than you're receiving, and that exhaustion starts to weigh on you. So at this stage in life, do you need more of that disappointment? The answer is no. You don't need to hold on to relationships just to avoid a sense of emptiness. Because true emptiness doesn't come from having fewer friends. It comes from expecting too much from people who are no longer truly there for you. Learning to let go of friendships that no longer add value isn't a negative action. It's a form of liberation. It allows you to dedicate your time to yourself and those who genuinely care about you, and most importantly, find peace within. In the end, happy life isn't measured by the number of friends you have, but by the quality of the relationships that bring you real joy and comfort. Remember, life doesn't have to be complicated to be meaningful. Sometimes it is simplicity that brings the deepest happiness. The true essence of life is not measured by how many friends you have, how many events you attend, or how many people know your name. It is measured by whether you truly enjoy each moment in the way you desire. You don't need to chase after standards set by others, nor do you have to force yourself to maintain relationships that no longer align with who you are. True happiness comes not from external validation, but from your inner peace, from quiet mornings, small joys, and the freedom to live without being weighed down by anyone's expectations. At some point, you will realize that the most valuable thing in life is not noise, not endless gatherings, but the serenity of knowing that each passing day is lived in a way that feels most fulfilling to you. And when you accept that, you will understand that happiness has never been found in complexity. It has always been hidden in life's simplest moments.